Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. We got Ains, absolutely badass looking hero. When I first saw him, what came to mind was Ains from Overlord, and we all know how epic that guy is. So you haven't checked out that anime and you're an anime fan, Overlord is a series you don't want to miss out on. Now, I'm really glad the direction has changed from a lot of fan service heroes to something like this. I know this is going to really appeal to many players that provided that feedback. All right. On his resonance skill, hasten death works kind of like Apsara. Instead of having the enemy take the stored up damage on every one of their turns, it is just recording and then delaying it a little bit further. So it's recording all the damage, just like Apsara. The damage is a lot. It just means it will be dealt to them on the second turn when this falls off. Now, if you're able to get this skill back up, and whenever you basically get 20 resonance points, you can actually use the skill one more time. And there are some synergies that in theory could work really well, especially if the enemy has a lot of AoE. I'll show you that shortly in kind of a demo. He can charge this up in theory very quickly and spam this skill onto the enemy. However, his personal damage isn't great, which creates a problem in a PvP situation, because nowadays, most of the time we're running like one main DPS with kind of 4 supports for the most part. Most teams are getting super tanky, and he can't do a lot of personal damage himself. He is more of a damage multiplier. If he has enough crit, there's a lot of utility to him as well, because what he can do is he can actually steal a lot of mastery from enemies, and you want to build him with full crit rate. You don't need a lot of crit damage. His passive actually converts any excess crit rate you have into crit damage at a ratio of 1 to 2. Now, you can even go up to 200% crit rate, because if you actually look at how stats rolls work, the ratio of crit and crit damage in this game is definitely not 1 to 2. So I think, on the regular stats, I think you can have, like, we can go take a look, right? Like, if we look at typical gear, if we look at the stat distribution, let's just filter. I'll show you guys quickly. So if we look at any piece of gear with crit on it, like the best crit pieces are around maybe, this is 3%. What do we see here? 3.2. So from a sub roles perspective, sure, you have crit rate maybe at like 3.5, I think is the highest I saw, and then crit damage I think is at a 7. The highest crit damage you can have is 7. So from a role perspective, your subs are on par. However, when you look at this piece, right, crit damage is going to be at crit rate is going to be at 21.6, but crit damage is going to be only at 28.8. I think once you max it out is 38.4, and here is 28.8. So the ratio is not definitely 1 to 2. So, and moreover, this is also seen when you take a look at blessings as well. Just to show you guys, crit rate. Here's a S tier 1, and you're at about 24%. But if you look at crit damage, definitely you do not go up to 50. Like an S will be like 34. 35-ish. So you can see the ratio, other than subs, are not 1 to 2, which means it's actually more efficient for you to build your Ains with all crit rate. And crit rate is also going to help him with his third skill, where you're stealing mastery from the enemy. The math is a little bit broken on it. The devs are off on Chinese New Year. I did message them about it, but at least how it's working right now is it is taking 45% of your initial crit, and the cap is not working right now. So I'll show you like what I did from a testing perspective. Like, I just lined up and put some enemy on the side, and what you will notice that you can steal a lot of crit. Like, if I have 200% crit, restart with current setting. Let's try again. Sorry. And edit attributes. Let's just give one a lot of HP. But let's say I have 200% crit. Enemy, right? And it's just so they don't die. And what you end up stealing is, even though the enemy doesn't have any mastery, what you will find is you can if you just quickly look at the enemy stats here, I've actually stolen 90 mastery from them, even though they have no mastery to begin with. And then that's all getting converted into my crit damage there. So I'm stealing based on my crit rate, 45% of it. So whatever description they have here, it's not making sense from a math perspective. So we'll wait to see how they fix it, but that also suggests, you should just build as much crit as possible. The formula on that one seems to be off a little bit. So back into his skill kit. So we already explained, 2 parts of his kit. One, the store damage part. The other part of his kit is he can actually steal mastery from the enemy, essentially in a PvP situation, reducing the dot damage they do. His debuff also provides making the enemy take 40% extra dot damage. So if you're pairing him up with a dot damage dealer, this works well. And then you're storing damage onto the enemy. And, because you do some direct damage, you kind of have a ability to kind of have a mixed damage team over here. Now he also has the ability to apply severe wound onto the enemy, and it's a guarantee. If you hit a target that has already has haste and death, you can get enfeebleness, paralyze is guaranteed to land onto them. So you don't have to build effective hit onto the enemy, onto Ains, to be able to land paralyze or to land feebleness, and he's also reducing the enemy's turn meter. So in many aspects, he's got all the kit you need to go for the boss for 7 stages. But in PvP, he has a lot of utility. I just still don't believe that he's strong enough to take up a slot, because you need to then pair him up with a reliable dot damage dealer, I guess. And then you need really 3 strong solid support if you want to use him in a top tier team. He might have a role to play in 5s. The verdict is out on that one just yet. So that kind of overall, from my perspective, explain his kit. And I kind of talked to you about how he should be built as well. Just stack as much crit as possible onto this guy. Then you can put some speed, attack, crit damage, whatever, is a secondary stat you can find for him. But definitely you want him at 200% crit rate. You can go up that far if you want. So a great hero from that perspective. From a damage perspective, if we look at his Echo also brings a lot of potential as well. He has a lot of skill damage. So all of these can be stacked up 4 times, because every time when your ally is hitting the enemy, it counts as 1 time of recording the damage taken by the enemy, right? So as soon as he starts marking the enemy, he can start basically getting stacks. And so this is going to get skill damage as well as crit damage. So a very good Echo just for him. And he's going to get a ton of crit damage as well. Now, let's go take a look at his skill. Because when he steals from the enemy, I wonder if he can steal multiple times, actually. You know what? Let's go. I'm pretty sure you can only steal once, but let's just confirm that. If he can steal multiple times, that's a lot of a lot of stats he can steal. So let's edit his attributes. We're going to start with 200% crit rate, maybe just 200 crit rate himself. So that's going to convert all the excess over. So he's going to be immediately at 400% crit rate. Just make sure he has some extra HP there. All right. We're going to just give him, a lot of extra speed. All right. So, whoops, sorry. You see his crit damage is ramping up like crazy. Restart with current settings. Okay. So you can see he's starting out with actually 280. Okay, so the conversion is even more than I thought, because down here, you're getting extra crit damage boost and extra crit cap. So it actually goes up to 280. So every 1 over converts to 2.8. So definitely build him with just no crit damage, just everything into crit rate. This is how you want to build him. Massive conversion ratio. A great way to use up all the extra crit rolls you have, but nowhere to put it, because right now, because of blessing and everything, you have way too much crit rate. So just build them with 200% crit rate, and you get 280 crit damage out of it, which is massive, massive, massive. So yeah, he's gonna have a ton of crit damage now I think about it. Okay, so now let's take a swing at the enemy, and you can see if this passive is calculated afterwards. So it's really easy. If you can hit 200% crit rate, you're definitely going to easily be able to, with Echo, he's going to start with, full resonance. I'm just going to manipulate this a little bit. We're going to start at 220 so that when we start the battle, he's going to go to 500. So we can just start off with this particular skill here. And you can see you get this benefit just at exclusive 1. So for every crit, 25% crit damage, he's going to get 1 resonance point. Being able to start with this, he's going to be able to AoE the enemy and get a ton of crit. Okay, now watch. See, the enemy doesn't have any mastery to show, but you still stole from them, right? Like just to show you, right? Like if we just try again, right? Like he's starting out with 500, okay, 220, right? And then he's now showing 500, yeah. So now we steal, and we got 120.5 more. Okay, so stealing from every single one of the enemies, and then taking 25% of that to be crit damage. So we stole effectively 450 mastery from everybody, right? 450 times 25, so divided by 4, you got 122.5. So you can see that's why our crit damage got increased by 112.5, okay? Because 450 times 0.25 gives you that number. So you can see the math doesn't exactly match the description there. But essentially there is no cap. Now in a PvP situation, you can have very funny stuff going on here. Like this is one weird use case of Brynhild, and you can see it's pretty funny. I'm just gonna fix it so that like we don't end up with him taking a whole bunch of turns. You just want him to be kind of like just normal, just a little bit faster than the enemy. And you can see, what we're gonna do here. So he starts out with all that resonance, right? But the way his resonance work is he is going to, whenever any of the heroes take a turn, okay, enemy's turn, your turn, you hit the enemy, every single one of them can give you 1 resonance point. So here, 1 AoE, boom, I got 5 resonance. Okay, the enemy decides to hit me, well, I counterattack, that's another 5 resonance, right? I got hit again, boom, that's another 5 resonance. So Brynhild could make a very interesting synergy here with Ains. Not saying you should run these two together, because I still don't feel like Brynhild's damage is up there. But from all that AoE, you can pretty much spam this. And you can spam this on multiple heroes if you want. So there, I just did damage onto everybody. Now both of them are getting their damage stored up. And again, we'll just, Brynhild is going to just quickly allow us to get to this again. Now, just to show you the mechanic again. So if I do this onto the enemy, right, I cast Hasten Death, the enemy is taking the recorded damage and remarking it. And what you've noticed there is both of these got refreshed, which is interesting because it actually, even though it marks one enemy, it's making Hasten Death damage, I think, proc on everyone. Okay, so let's just show that one more time. Okay, both of them are marked. If I hit one of them, I actually see a white damage come out onto the Andrew right there as well. So you can see slow motion, right? So what happened? Wait, wasn't I supposed to see like the mark damage? Hold on, did I miss something there? Hold on a sec. Okay, like the stored up damage is when the thing falls off. Okay, so there you go. That's the stored damage, 880, right? So if I hit it one more time here, I should see a white damage. There we go. That's the Hasten Death. Okay, so 888. Okay, so let me see if it was just my eyes doing something to me. If we happen to mark 2 enemies, do we actually see the Hasten Death happen twice? AoE there. Okay, just gonna slow this down. Mark another enemy, and oh, you see that? You see that? Even though I was targeting this hero on the left hand side, Hasten Death got triggered. Another target has Hasten Death. So that's very interesting, and that wasn't in the description either, because when we look at this, right? Okay, Brynhild, just give me put this back again, okay? So this is an interesting part of the mechanic. So in this testing, what's this showing is, even though, right, it says, okay, if the target already has Hasten Death, the recorded damage, but I'm not even hitting the target, right? So here, I'm going to now have 2 targets. Okay, I'm going to go hit another one and watch these 2 have their store damage triggered again as well. So watch slowly, and we're going to look for those 2 white numbers, and in slow-mo, and boom, you can see both of them got triggered hasten death once. Now I have 3 targets with hasten death. So yeah, this could get very interesting a PvP situation, I guess, especially if you manual. I don't know, like Brynhild is just getting me. This is kind of hilarious to watch and see all the extra haste and damage that I'm taking. Like here, I'm gonna do this again. Just see, you can see both of those, right? Got taken. Their store damage 50%. Now I got like again 3 targets now marked with it. So if I'm not sure if this is a bug or not. The devs are away. Again, if it's a bug, they're going to fix it, but they better give us some compensation for it because there's a lot of description and the mechanics are not matching up here. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Ains seems like a fun hero. If they keep all of these mechanics, definitely, maybe it could make him interesting in PvP. Definitely an interesting way to quickly charge him up. If you have AoEs or AoE counters, Apsara actually works really well. The last interaction I'm going to talk about is, with Apsara, because Apsara, when she counters, right, she can counter once, but she will also store damage. So they're treated as separate instances. So in theory, right, Apsara, I think, Apsara on, hold on, let me just make sure Apsara has the fastest speed here. So Apsara can store how much? Let's see. She's going to gain momentum, records 24%, but then it goes up to 30, and then 30. No, she has resonance first. Okay. So let's cast the resonance version. Okay, so the resonance version got casted. Okay, the resonance version stores 50%, but you increase it by another 30% of the original, so 65%. So 65% of the store damage. I don't know if it's 65 or 80. I haven't done the math to confirm. I think it's 65, not 80, because but then there's a lot of situations where I see the store damage, gets really close to the actual damage dealt. So I have a feeling it might be actually 80. So it is more than and it's more than Ains, but it's settled every single turn. But the 2 are treated separately. So what ends up happening is you could have one hero doing a lot of damage, and then basically these 2 will just be multiplying purely off the main damage dealer. So that's just a really interesting fact to note. And if you can actually hit the enemy fast enough, I feel like Ains, if you can get the skill back up fast enough, he can actually help with Sunday's boss now I think about it, because this is going to be a lot of resonance damage, right? So you could, in theory, put him out there to be another hero in the Sunday boss. Though I worry with Apsara, with Ains, you could have trouble surviving if you have another Marine there, because you only have 2 heroes left and we don't have any speed up, at least right now. But if you don't have Apsara and you can get a copy of Ains, I feel like he might actually do decent as Apsara, as a budget version of Apsara on boss fights. So there you go. That's my final verdict on this hero. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it really helpful. You got the information on how to build him, how his mechanic works, and all the nuanced little bits about him. And if you like what I do, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Gandalf out.